Good morning, Sharon Riegie Maynard here, and I did some healing work with a client of mine, and I realized that her story is not unique to her. It's a female story. Um, she's having problems with her eyesight, so very extensive work we do into many different worlds, dimensions, galactic, etc. But the one that was really impactful I want to share with you is we ask what ancestral line. What is in the ancestral line? So as we took the time to go back and be led into the distant past, we were met in this place of jungle and forest with an old man from a village, and he was blinded, and he had been blinded with fire sticks, he said. So then, of course, we want to know the story. What was the experience? Because it has left an imprint that she is now experiencing as eye problems. So his story was this, that he was the chief, and his village was living in peace and harmony, and then, as had happened so many times here on this earth, the outsiders, the invaders, those who were here to suppress, to use, to take out and take over, came into his village. And he stood up with great power and with great strength, because that was his role as a chief. That was the role of the men, to stand up and protect the village. And of course, they were slaughtered. Most of them were slaughtered. He, however, had his eyes put out as a warning to other male leaders that they would not be able to stop these oppressors and occupiers. So we, myself and my spiritual teachers, and I always travel back in time with huge contingents of women of spirit who understand the female mission. Because it was the female mission to protect, not the male mission. The males, as you remember, carried the marks of ownership. They were owned by the outsiders. And they did that. They carried two marks in order to free the soul coming into a female body, so that she, in that female body with no ownership marks, could stand up to the outsiders, because we knew they were here. We knew there were families from agendas specifically to control, to manipulate, to dominate, to use. They did not come from an agenda to love and bring peace and unify. So we needed a way to address their presence, and it was the female's mission to do so. That mission was acted on perfectly from probably 400,000 years ago until 40 and 50,000 years ago, when that mission was crushed and we went into downward spiral and survival. This village with this chief was in that time of survival, women's mission discounted, her voice crushed. However, myself and the contingency of women I brought, our spiritual healers, and the power of extraction, were able to come to this chief, listen to his story, and say, you did what you had to do. You did it well, and it didn't have the end result you had hoped. But we come from the future where that authority of female voice has been returned. And we come to restore your village. So we had the energetic healers move us back in time to the village when it was safe, it was happy, it was thriving, and it was the women in the village who sensed the predators, and they warned the men. And we said to the women, stop. You now have the authority to speak, to act, to stand. You do not have passed that on to the men. They are owned. Good hearts, but they can't stand in the presence of these predators. So we encircled the village with the women of the village, with the women from the future, with myself and my team. And as we sensed the predators coming toward our circle, we said to them, stop. We know who you are. You have no authority here on this planet. You have no authority in this space of village. Stop. And they could do nothing but stop, because women have the authority. And they stopped. We brought in the team that I call a PTO, the teams of extraction, and we said, identify this entire energy field, contain it, neutralize it, remove it back to their original home, off the planet. And we held space while that occurred. And because we were able to go back and change that past, the village was never slaughtered. The chief was never blinded. There was never the fear engendered. It was as if all that energy dissipated in the light of truth. And I wanted to pass that on to you.